We haven't done a State of the Podcast in a while, and I think it's important for the State of the Podcast that we do a State of the Podcast.
I'd be convinced if you had just said State of the Podcast one more time, but I agree. I think we should take stock and, how are we doing? And I think also self-criticism is very valuable. It's good for us to really kick the tires on this thing and make sure that we're living up to people's expectations. How do we proceed?
Well, as we always do, we bring in Adam Sachs. Mm-hmm. He runs this place. He makes it happen. He makes it work. He does the dance that keeps the floor thumping.
Yeah.
So, Adam.
Where
are we?
Awful monologue.
Wasn't, well.
Yeah.
So, State of the Podcast, I brought some notes with me. We are 5 years in.
It's 5 years
November 19th, 2018 was our first episode, the release of our first episode with Will Ferrell. Right. So we are 5 years in, over 400 episodes.
Wow. Are we over 400 episodes?
I believe that's right, if we count the fan episodes and our
Which we
interview.
do.
Sure.
Those are important.
Yeah. So over 400 episodes, and we're actually seeing growth still, which is pretty amazing.
Still seeing growth?
Yes.
So people have been listening to this, and more people are still showing up.
More people are showing up. And because the catalog is so evergreen, the episodes that we recorded 5 years ago still hold up. People show up and then they go back and they listen to the back catalog. So on a given month, we get 40% of our listens happening on old episodes.
People are telling friends, but in a good way.
Yeah, they're in a good way.
That's my first experience with that in show business. Mm-hmm. My previous career was, you got to check this guy out.
They're warning people.
Yeah, so that you don't accidentally stumble on him. You need to know. No, but that's, all kidding aside, that's very exciting. I will say that we made this decision to try and it's also just naturally the kind of comedy I like, but we're not always talking about the day's events. And in fact, anytime a guest starts to say, "Isn't it funny that today in the news I reach over the table and slap them?"
Yeah. Sam Bankman-Fried was just found guilty.
So, okay. Well, that's.
But the other thing is
that totally screws up.
I'm sorry, I wasn't listening to it.
Oh, you don't mean that Sam Bankman-Fried? No. Okay, you mean. The guy who has a restaurant and guilty of serving a great fried chicken. That's evergreen. That's always, Sam's Place. Come to Sam Bankman's. It's Sam Bankman's Fried.
Oh, fried.
Yes, there you go. There, I fixed it. Now it's just you discussing. He was just found guilty of serving an amazing fried chicken.
Yes.
So check it out on La Cienega and 33rd. Intersection that doesn't exist. No, I think that's important.
So there's that. There's also we're still getting like crazy amazing guests that are coming on for the first time. Even recently we've had Arnold Schwarzenegger, Harrison Ford, Steve Martin, Sir Paul McCartney, Kelly Clarkson.
And it was great. Schwarzenegger, we didn't even invite him. We tried to keep him out of the building. He's like, "I'm coming in." And we remember, and I said, no, we're here. We're talking to Ted Danson. He's like, it's going to be me. And he smashed his way through.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Sorry, did you need more from me?
So the other thing I wanted to bring up, which is interesting, is the industry has evolved. If we look back 5 years, if you think about the advertisers we had at the beginning, it was mostly what are called direct response advertisers, DR advertisers, where oftentimes they're like digital advertisers. Mm-hmm. Fracture Prints was a good example. Remember the back scratcher?
I miss Fracture.
Yes, and they have an offer code, right? Offer code Conan, or go to this specific URL, and that's how they know if the ad is working. It's attribution.
So we've grown out of that now.
We still have plenty of them, but we've gotten into more brands, big brands, and that's I think.
Listen, I like that things are moving in the right direction, but sometimes you're the victim of your success. And I will say Fracture, that was a great company.
Do they still exist?
Yes. No, they do.
But
for Conan's 60th birthday, I got him a Fracture print.
Oh, Can we just edit that so it's 40th? And anyway,
we're the same age.
Thank you. No, it's fun being. I guess I'm 41 now. So there's a thing that can happen sometimes in life where yes, you've had good fortune, but you miss that old little apartment you used to live in. Remember where the shower didn't quite work, but boy, did we have good times in that old little. And that's how I think of the fracture print ads.
Well, it's funny you say that because the brand, so now we have a lot of brand advertisers. We have, Miller Lite, Chevy, these big brands that don't have.
And by the way, those are terrific products.
They're fantastic. But brand advertisers, so direct response advertisers don't necessarily, they're not that sensitive about the content that they're advertising on. They just, for the most part, care that the ad works. They want the ROI, the return on the investment. So,
God, do you ever just speak normally?
I know.
But I'm getting somewhere.
Is this what it's like in the bedroom?
Yeah. But brand advertisers really care about associating with talent, right? And so they do, what they have been doing more and more is brand safety analysis. And I actually brought some brand safety analysis for Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend.
You're fun at a holiday
Here's
party.
my question, though, because he was on television for like 20 years before the podcast. That brand wasn't enough.
Well, that's a
Okay.
good question.
Yeah.
So you
thank
can see how we rank here.
Thanks, Sona.
Oh,
Thank you.
this is funny.
Okay. All right. So this is.
And this, I think this is
Oh,
mostly, I
Wait,
believe.
what? What is this now? Explain
This
what's
is-
happening.
okay,
Can you take a second and explain what
so
this
is our brand safety analysis that's
Okay.
done, I think, primarily by like AI and transcription. So transcription is done on the podcast, and then some algorithm decides how brand safe the show
And
is.
this is real.
This is real.
These are real
Yeah,
numbers.
these are real ratings.
Right.
This is amazing.
On the show. And so brand advertisers, when they're deciding whether they want to advertise on a specific podcast, will look at these ratings and decide if the show is safe for them to be associated with.
Okay. All right. So medium adult sexual explicit content.
That seems low.
Is that
Yeah,
seems very low.
seems
It
really
says
low.
it's
We
only
talk
a
a lot
4.
about dicks and stuff.
Oh, but down here, obscenity and profanity, it's in the red for 83%
Yeah.
and 71% high risk.
Yeah. So
Huh.
we're killing it with obscenity and profanity.
Yeah. let's-
Maybe this is just all our clinical talk. Whenever we say
You know what I don't
penis and
like?
vagina
Hate
instead of cockaroo.
speech.
And
Hate speech, 7%.
That's you. Acts of aggression. That's
oh,
you.
acts of aggression.
All
That's
you.
you.
I don't
All
like
you.
because there's no hate speech here, but there is me routinely trying to take a swat at somebody.
You're also crime and violence because you say the word murder on a regular
That's
basis.
true. Yeah,
I
I mean,
love-
you're
I love
11%
murder.
high risk.
Wait a minute, military conflict.
Do you want to just run down what the sheet says to give us kind of an overview of those?
Well,
listeners?
adult and sexual explicit content 4%, alcohol 2%. These are risks
High risk, 0%.
for suitability. Crime and violence 12%. Wow. Death or injury 3%. Relatively low.
remember one time we did a segment about robbing a bank and what would our masks be? So
Yeah.
that's, things like that
Okay.
are factored in. Okay.
Death or injury 3%, epidemic 3%, hate speech and acts of aggression 7%. It's a little high for me. Illegal drugs 1%. We don't really talk about drugs a lot.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we do.
Sona?
But
Well,
those aren't
Sona does.
illegal.
Smoking that
Well,
weed.
Well, they're not illegal. Everything you do is legal.
Yeah, that's true.
Obscenity and profanity 83%.
Wow.
Jeez.
Jeez.
Thus, Christ.
Fuck, that's a high number.
Fuck.
Tobacco, e-cigarettes, vaping 0%.
Well, now it's going to be in there, though. Will it factor
Oh,
this in?
yeah, now it's going to be in there.
Look
now
at
we're
this.
at 1%.
This is a category. Violation of human rights.
Oh, that's just us working for you.
Yeah, that's
Let's-
you.
It's a violation of human rights to work here, and that's 1%.
I don't understand military conflict.
Yeah, what is military conflict?
Well, we
Well,
talk about
yeah.
World War II
Yeah, I
comes
think
up
that's
quite
what
a
it is.
bit.
I mean-
The term Nazi will pop up every once in a while.
I think it is like just talking about
World War
historic-
II.
Yeah.
Basically, World War II facts, trivia. Stalin comes up a lot.
Yeah.
But is this a concern that us discussing these things right now will bump these numbers up?
I hadn't thought of it,
And
but
then
yeah,
next
I
year when we
think-
do
I
this
think-
again,
Dick,
it'll
dick,
compound.
dick,
I think so.
Dick, dick,
Boobies,
dick.
boobies.
Nazi.
Vagine,
But I think so. The truth is, like, this is
Heroin.
more. Sona made a really, really important point, which is like you were on TV for 28 years.
Yep.
Your brand is established.
Yes.
You had advertisers on that show.
Yes, I
so
did.
it was a brand safe show. You're brand safe talent. This really is more done for talent that is maybe lesser known to advertisers when they're making the decision if they want to advertise on a specific show.
I see.
But I did think that you would just find it interesting that we're being
What do you
analyzed
take away?
right
What
now.
do you take away from this?
I actually take away that there is a high sensitivity among advertisers now, higher than ever, it seems, to be associated with brand safe content. So I think for us, we should just be monitoring your language, primarily everyone's language
Fuck.
here, and thinking of these categories
Dick.
every time we go into an interview or do a segment.
No, but
If I'm told not to do something, I just want to do it more.
Adam, you're coming dangerously close to being the man censoring the artist here. So
also, I don't think I use profanity. I mean, cockaroo, is that really profanity?
I don't know.
I love that answer. I love the way you said it. I don't know.
Well, there was talk of gerbils. Is all kind of a
Not
hidden...
unless you really get into what it's all about.
It's obscene
I don't
and
think
profane.
this thing understands context either.
Yeah,
You know,
it doesn't
just
understand
literal.
context. So talk of gerbils is quite that could be a children's story.
But it
could
might
be.
take gerbils and think Joseph Gerbils and make it a Nazi thing. You know
No,
what I
that's
mean?
Goebbels.
Well,
They know
it's written in a transcript. It doesn't know.
It does. It knows the difference. They're spelled completely differently. It's ridiculous. I think the state of the conflict. I think the state of the show.
Our numbers are going up on military conflict.
I think the show is doing well. We
It's
are
doing great.
marching forward. We're like the Allies pushing in to France. We're pushing forward. We're moving our way.
Penetrating
Okay. Yeah.
that hole.
We're
Okay,
having
all
sex with the other army.
Listen, don't ruin a good thing. I'm pleased. I feel
This is a good thing.
I do nothing but say I have gratitude that we've been doing this for 5 years. I've been having a very good time. I love doing this with you people. I got to learn your names. But
so
and I think we
close.
should maybe tone down the pee pee poo poo a little bit language.
You got it, cockface.
But I do want us to keep getting more and more brand friendly. I really do. I want to just keep chiseling away. I want to.
But pee-pee and poo-poo is what we are. That's who we are as people.
What a wonderful story this is.
No, but that's just who we are. I feel like you're telling us to change
I'd
ourselves.
like the Hallmark Channel to one day advertise with us, and I think
we
to
need to do
get
better.
that, and probably also Disneyland. So to get those kind of brands, those are the ones I really want.
Mhm.
We need
We
to
have to
really
bring these
shape
numbers
it up.
down.
I
Yeah.
think we definitely need to check back in. We need to do quarterly state of the podcast and see the trend of the numbers.
That's a
Can
good
we
idea.
do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
83%.
Yeah.
That's high. It's red.
83% obscenity and profanity. Let's get that number down, and let's get violation of human rights way up. I don't know how, but we will.